Karen's voice was a foghorn, blaring over my morning coffee. "It's shared property, sweetie, so step aside," she shrieked, her chins wobbling as she waved a surveyor's map like a battle flag. Her sister, Darlene, equally rotund and twice as smug, leaned on a shovel in my backyard, where a pile of fresh cement was hardening into an uninvited driveway. I stood frozen on my porch, gripping my mug, as my quiet Saturday morphed into a circus of entitlement. This wasn't just a neighborly spat, it was war, waged by the HOA's most infamous duo, the Karen sisters, who decided my yard was their latest conquest. It started 3 months ago when I moved into this sleepy cul-de-sac, lured by its tidy lawns and promises of peace. The HOA, led by Karen and Darlene, had other plans. From day one, they'd eyed my property like vultures circling a carcass. My mailbox wasn't regulation height. My roses were too vibrant. My very existence, it seemed, offended their iron grip on the neighborhood's aesthetic. Karen, with her peroxide blonde helmet hair and perpetual scowl, would waddle over daily, clipboard in hand, to lecture me on community standards. Darlene, her shadow, would nod along, her beady eyes gleaming with glee at my every misstep. But this was next-level audacity. They'd crossed my fence line, torn up my grass, and started pouring concrete for a driveway they claimed was for the community. I stepped off the porch, heart pounding. "Karen, this is my yard. You can't just build here." My voice cracked, betraying my shock. Karen's lips curled into a sneer that could curdle milk. "Oh, honey, check the bylaws. This strip's shared easement. We're doing you a favor, parking's tight." Darlene chimed in, her voice dripping with fake sweetness. "Yeah, think of the property value." I glanced at the surveyor's map in Karen's meaty fist. It was clearly doctored, with my property line conveniently blurred. My blood boiled. These sisters weren't just bullies, they were con artists in caprice. I'd dealt with Karens before, but this was a masterclass in delusion. The easement excuse was nonsense. I'd seen my deed, clear as day, at closing. This land was mine, down to the last blade of grass they'd ripped out. I pulled out my phone, hands shaking, and dialed the non-emergency police line. "You're trespassing," I said, loud enough for the neighbors peeking through their blinds to hear. Karen laughed, a grating cackle. "Go ahead, call the cops. They'll side with us. We run this HOA," Darlene smirked, tossing a clump of dirt onto my patio. The audacity was breathtaking. As we waited for the police, the sisters doubled down. Karen started filming me with her phone, narrating like a wannabe influencer. "Here's the entitled newbie, obstructing community progress," she crowed, zooming in on my face. Darlene, not to be outdone, began stacking concrete blocks, muttering about ungrateful neighbors. I stood my ground, though every fiber of my being wanted to scream. This wasn't just about a driveway, it was about power, about two women who'd bullied this neighborhood for years, unchecked, because no one dared challenge their reign. The police arrived, 2 officers stepping out of a cruiser with calm professionalism. Officer Ramirez, a stocky man with a notepad, surveyed the scene. His partner, Officer Lee, a no-nonsense woman, raised an eyebrow at the half-built driveway. "What's going on here?" Ramirez asked. Karen launched into her spiel, voice syrupy with fake charm. "Officers, this is a shared easement, per HOA bylaws. We're improving the community." She thrust the fake map at them. Darlene nodded vigorously, her jowls bouncing. I handed over my deed, my voice steady now. "This is my property. They trespassed and started construction without permission." Ramirez studied both documents, his brow furrowing. Lee walked the property line, her boots crunching on the torn-up grass. The sisters' confidence faltered as the officers conferred in low tones. Neighbors began gathering, drawn by the spectacle. Mrs. Jenkins, a sweet retiree who'd whispered warnings about the Karen sisters, watched from her porch, arms crossed. Mr. Patel, the cul-de-sac's unofficial historian, shook his head. "They tried this with my shed in 19, he muttered. "Same fake map trick." The officers returned, and Ramirez's voice was firm. "Ma'am, this deed is clear. This land is private property, not an easement. You're trespassing and causing property damage. Karen's face turned beet red, her mouth opening and closing like a fish out of water. That's impossible, she sputtered. We're the HOA, we decide what's shared. Darlene, less composed, shrieked. This is an outrage. We'll sue. Lee cut them off, her tone icy. You'll need to stop construction and vacate the property. Now. The sisters' empire began to crumble. Karen's phone, still recording, captured her meltdown as she waved her arms, screaming about injustice. Darlene kicked a concrete block, yelping as it stubbed her toe. The neighbors, emboldened, started clapping. Mrs. Jenkins called out. About time someone stood up to them. The officers issued a formal trespass warning and ordered the sisters to pay for repairs. Karen, clutching her fake map, stormed off, vowing to take this to the board. Darlene trailed behind, muttering curses. But the story didn't end there. Word of the showdown spread like wildfire. The HOA meeting the next week was standing room only, with neighbors airing years of grievances. Karen and Darlene's reign of terror extorting fines, rewriting bylaws, bullying newcomers was laid bare. Mr. Patel presented evidence of their fake map scam, dating back a decade. Mrs. Jenkins revealed how they'd strong-armed her into paying for landscaping violations that never existed. The board, cowed by the sisters for years, finally acted. Karen and Darlene were voted out, their HOA powers stripped. I watched from the back, my heart lighter than it had been in months. My yard was restored, the half-built driveway jackhammered into oblivion. But the real victory was the neighborhood's awakening. The Karen sisters, once untouchable, were now pariahs, their smugness replaced by bitter whispers as they slunk away from the meeting. They'd tried to claim my land, my peace, my dignity, but they'd lost it all. As I sipped coffee on my porch the next morning, Mrs. Jenkins waved from her yard. You did good, kid, she said, her smile warm. The cul-de-sac felt different now, freer, like a weight had lifted. Karen and Darlene's hubris had been their undoing. A classic case of karma delivered with a badge and a deed. I set my mug down, breathing in the quiet. The war was over, and I'd won. The end.